Tonight on No Things Considered, the president can't tell blonde Finnish reporters apart. I can't either, so I don't blame him. And also, we agree with Morning Joe. What? What? Yeah, now here's your host, me. Welcome to No Things Considered. It's the 77th episode. I think that's lucky or something, so I decided to wear a jersey instead of a blazer today. Or I forgot my blazers at home. Let's get into the news. Yesterday, North Korea firing from the middle of a populated area a ballistic missile over Japan, which means probably in the next couple of days, who knows, we won't be at World War. Sounds like fun, huh? Not at all. And this hasn't been quite addressed from the White House yet. They say they're, of course, very concerned about it, and they're dealing with President Abe to take care of the situation. Let's hope that gets taken care of. Yeah. Yesterday, the president met with the Finnish president in the White House. They had a joint press conference, at which point Donald Trump made the same comment that I make all the time, well, passively, that all blondes kind of look alike.
Go ahead.
Please.
Again? You're going to give her the same one?
No, she's not the same lady.
Go ahead.
They are sitting side by side.
We have a lot of blonde women in Finland.
Go ahead.
Then the president went on to talk about TV ratings, the hurricane, and Joe Arpaio in like 1 minute. Unbelievable.
Well, a lot of people think it was the right thing to do, John. And actually, in the middle of a hurricane, even though it was a Friday evening, I assumed the ratings would be far higher than they would be normally. You know, the hurricane was just starting. And I put it out that I had pardoned, as we say, Sheriff Joe. He's done a great job for the people of Arizona. He's very strong on borders, very strong on illegal immigration. He is loved in Arizona. I thought he was treated unbelievably unfairly when they came down with their big decision to go get him right before the election voting started, as you know. And he lost in a fairly close election. He would have won the election, but they just hammered him just before. Well,
so this was pretty efficient from the president. He knocked out, literally, again, Harvey, TV ratings, which is one of his favorite things to talk about, and Joe Arpaio, all at once. What do you guys think about, by the way, Joe Arpaio getting a pardon from the president? Do you think it was right? Do you think it was wrong? Put it in the comments below. And the next section, you're really going to like this. I want to talk about this because it actually bothers me the way that we've been handling this border wall situation with Mexico. The president was asked, who's going to pay for the border wall? And you tell me if you like the answer.
we need the wall. It's imperative. We may fund it through the United States, but ultimately, Mexico will pay for the wall.
If I may follow up, on Tuesday you said if we have to close down our government, we are building that wall.
Well, I hope
Mexico
that's
is
not
paying for the
necessary.
wall, why
Let
would we
me
close
just tell
down
you.
our government?
Yeah, I hope that's not necessary. If it's necessary, we'll have to see. But I hope it's not necessary. The wall is needed from the standpoint of security. The wall is needed from the standpoint of the drug scourge, what's coming through and through that area, through the areas that we're talking about.
Have you ever been on a date with a woman, and when you asked her out, you were like, hey, I'll pay this. I got this. It's on me. It's on me. It's on me. And then at the end, when the check came, you were like, actually, it's on you. That's kind of what's happening here if you take a look at it. Mexico's going to pay for it. Mexico's going to pay for it. No, America's going to pay for it. Do you guys disagree with me? Because I'm going to get to a tweet here in a second from over the weekend from Donald Trump as well that kind of seems to back this up as well. Throw this up full screen. With Mexico being one of the highest crime nations in the world, we must have the wall. Mexico will pay for it through reimbursement/other. Guys, now I know a lot of you support the president, but this tweet and the way he's handled Mexico paying for the wall just seems a little shifty, especially /other. I'm going to be paying for dinner tonight /other. I'm going to be paying for it with credit card it doesn't even make sense. This is not a policy solution. /other is an excuse. It's a way out. Mexico was going to pay for that wall. Remember, Mexico will pay for the wall. We heard it for months. We heard it for over a year. And now it just seems like I feel like I'm going to get a lot of angry faces on this one. I hate to tell you guys. You have a right to be upset about this. Put in your comments if you think Mexico's actually going to pay for the wall. You can call me stupid if you want, but I don't know about it. Something else that bothered me is that Sebastian Gorka left the White House on Friday. And I know, I personally liked him. A lot of you guys liked him. We have a lot of great clips from him. Let's hear what he says about his leaving the White House.
Into the White House. There are a lot of people in that building who really don't agree with it and weren't associated with it, and that's why I left, so we can support the president from the outside, because that's why he was elected. And he's not going to give up. The question is, are the people around him going to support him? At least the people on the outside, like myself, Steve Bannon, we are going to support him to the fullest.
I have no doubt that Sebastian Gorka and Steve Bannon are going to support the president from outside the White House. That's not what I'm worried about in the statement. The statement is bothersome because everybody else in the White House doesn't support the MAGA mission that Donald Trump got elected on. So why don't you fire those people? Why are you getting rid of Bannon and Gorka if they were the guys who still support the original mission of the White House? Doesn't that seem backwards to you? No? I mean, if my producer was like, I hate you, Tim Young, I never want to work with you again, he does that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd be like, you take Tuesdays and Thursdays off. Not, the days that he likes me, hey, go home and support the show from outside the studio. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Come on, guys. Go ahead. I feel like a lot of people are not going to like the show tonight. Just, what do you think about that? Because that's just interesting to me. I like Gorka. I think he's a smart guy. I think Bannon's a smart guy too. But listen, supporting the MAGA mission and the bullet points of what he got elected on from outside the White House rather than inside because the people inside the White House don't support it? Huh? What? Let's get into more news that we may or may not like. Joel Osteen decided to open his church up to the people of Houston. A few days later, and a whole hell of a lot of social media hate after he decided to keep his doors closed for 2 or 3 days. He was asking for money and donations for people of Houston. You have to remember his church is in the middle of Houston. 16,800 people it seats, and he did not open the doors until, I believe, today. It may still not be open for people in need in the area. That's an interesting one, don't you think? Especially when every other church in the area was pretty much open, and mosque and synagogue for that matter. What do you think about that? And in the middle of all of that, of course it's the Republicans' fault that Hurricane Harvey hit. Here's Chris Cuomo on CNN New Day trying to lay into Ted Cruz and making no sense.
I'm just curious if your perspective has changed at all when it comes to that need for quick disaster relief for a hard-hit area. I know during Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, this became an issue where there were some Republicans in Texas who were opposed to that funding, and now many of those members of Congress would like to see help come in as quickly as possible.
It seems like ever since Katrina and now Sandy and now Harvey, the media likes to say Republicans don't like people. Remember Kanye back with George W. Bush? So here they are asking why Ted Cruz and John Cornyn didn't vote for the Hurricane Sandy relief bill. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll get to that in a second. Here's Ted Cruz answering.
Not accurate that there were Republicans opposed to hurricane funding. Every Republican, including Texas Republicans, agreed that hurricane funding is an important and critical role for the federal government, and that Hurricane Sandy, there were a great many people that were hurting from it. Now, there were a number of us who were concerned that that particular bill became a $50 billion bill that was filled with pork and unrelated spending that wasn't hurricane relief, that was simply local members of Congress spending on their pet projects, and 2/3 of what was spent in that bill had little or nothing to do with Hurricane Sandy.
One of those relief efforts that they said was for Hurricane Sandy and the Hurricane Sandy bill was $150 million for Alaskan fishermen. $150 million for Alaskan fishermen, where Hurricane Sandy, I don't know if you knew this or not, never hit. That's just one of the pieces of pork that was put into that bill. So there were millions upon millions of dollars put in that were just put in because Congress figured, well, the authors of the bill figured, that people voting against it would look bad and show that they don't care about the victims of Sandy rather than, just going through with it for no reason. Cornyn, a few other Republicans, Cruz here, actually voted smartly to not fund that first version of the bill that had that pork barrel legislation in it. Fun. Here's something interesting. Our favorite morning show, Morning Joe, they got something right. Absolutely right. God, this is like a reverse episode today. We're talking about Trump kind of making mistakes, and now Morning Joe getting it right? They nail Antifa for the violence at Berkeley, and they blame them. They point fingers at them for it. Here we go. Take it away, Mika.
Berkeley, California, where anti-fascist protesters chased, attacked, and beat Trump supporters.
That's just a plain fact. The other day over the weekend, there was a protest at Berkeley from Antifa who was going after Trump supporters. They're literally just physically attacking. It's their thing. It's their MO at this point. And now it seems as if Morning Joe and his lovely wife Mika have caught on.
This is an ongoing problem in Berkeley especially, where members of the far left are using violence to shut down free speech and there to shut down demonstrators.
Look, this is new. This is not just scuffles between rival protesters, right? This is shutting down someone else's speeches with a violent assault.
It is shutting down other people's speech with violent assault. You might remember Milo Yiannopoulos. It started with Milo back in the day when he was going to give his speech at Berkeley, and they didn't like it, so they set the entire campus on fire. It took them almost, what was it, about a year now, half a year, to admit that Antifa is violent and trying to shut down free speech. We haven't heard this from people on the left before. Good job, Morning Joe. It keeps going.
The police, I mean, when the police see these guys coming in with masks, they need to do, I think they did it in Auburn, Alabama, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Take your mask off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take your mask off because you have a history of beating people and hiding behind that mask. Take your mask off.
This goes even further. Not only do you blame the police for not unmasking these people because it's very clear they're showing up to cause violence, one of the guests on Morning Joe this morning, one of the panelists, actually said the same thing we've been saying for a while. They're not anti-fascists. They are actually the fascists. Hold on to your hats.
Also, I resent the branding of these as anti-fascist protesters. They are nothing if not fascistic in their behaviour.
They're fascists in their behavior, aren't they? There's nothing anti-fascist about that.
My head exploded. They actually nailed it. They actually nailed Antifa on Morning Joe. It's almost as if logic had seeped into their scripts this morning. Guys, they are the fascists. Antifa is trying to shut down free speech. You may not agree with the free speech. It might be hate speech, but it's free speech. And shutting it down is fascism. Wow. They even go further about this free speech talk.
It gets to a larger issue that you referenced, and it's the suppression of free speech on college campuses that is getting to near epidemic proportion.
Then, you might want to just buckle your seatbelt and hold on to something. Joe Scarborough, the guy who kind of doesn't like anything going on the right now, defends Ann Coulter's right to free speech. You see, we can all disagree on things, but then get along that we all have the right to say the stuff we disagree on. It's amazing how that works. Take it away, Joe.
I'll just say it. I find her speech deplorable. Ann Coulter, I think she had to have a speech canceled, but you know what? She had a right to give a speech. The fires that were started and the violence was being started. Like, the question is, and I don't know.
Yeah,
so this is an innocent question.
Yeah.
Who is running Berkeley?
That's a good question. Who is running Berkeley? They're literally allowing people in all black, with faces covered, showing up with weapons to beat up whoever the hell they disagree with. This has been going on for months. Who is running that campus? It seems like there's no police presence there. Of course, they're just letting them do whatever they want. There's no administrative presence. There's been no statement about that, other than when they raise the price on people for security, like Ben Shapiro and Ann Coulter and Milo Yiannopoulos, because they want to keep them off campus through other means. It's passive fascism when you just raise the price and make it unaffordable for student groups to bring a speaker in, right? Yeah, and I guess if that doesn't work, then you bring in the violent protesters to beat up whoever the hell they disagree with. Is that the pattern there? Maybe that's how they're running Berkeley. Maybe somebody is running Berkeley. They're just running it, not in a civilized manner, in a fascist manner. Wow. Joe gets really heated about this, kind of like we have, because he's a proponent of free speech, of course.
And why can't they protect free speech? What's your problem in Berkeley? Why can't you protect free speech? If you need me to help you out, we can get some people that will actually protect the First Amendment. Okay? You know where we are. Call us. We'll help you. But this sort of thuggery going on in your streets, on your college campuses, is an absolute disgrace.
I literally have nothing to add. Joe Scarborough got it right. He nailed it. We have to protect free speech even if we disagree with the people speaking. But then one of his panelists made an even better point. If you don't like something that someone has to say, don't show up and put exclamation points on that speech. Just listen.
Look, I was going to say, look, if you hate Ann Coulter, if you hate Milo, the worst thing you can do to them is not show up to their speech and ignore it.
Right.
I mean, but the second best thing you can do for them, after agreeing with them, is to show up, protest, shut them down, and give them the theater that helps them show that you are the actual free speech oppressor.
This only helps people. This only helps extremists on the other side.
Literally, it only does help the other side when you show up to protest and cause violence. It puts exclamation points on them. It gives the media something to talk about. It puts highlights on something you don't like. Which brings us back to Charlotte, when only about 100 neo-Nazis showed up. And granted, neo-Nazis are bad. We have to say that over and over again. Nazis are bad, white supremacy is bad, alt-right's bad. Anyway, we just got to tick those boxes every time we do it because the president didn't do it that one time. It didn't go over very well. Listen, guys, if you don't want their ranks to grow, if you don't want to highlight what they're doing, let them go make noise by themselves. Don't show up and fight. Don't show up with your cameras, with the media, and put exclamation points on what's going on. In Boston, there were like 20 people who showed up and 20,000 or 30,000 that showed up to protest them. It put an absolute exclamation point and spotlights on a little gathering that would have gotten zero attention any other day, but dominated the news cycle for like 3 days. The left doesn't get it. Morning Joe seems to get it to a point. He's himself put highlights and spotlights on the crazier sides of both political parties. But so he's kind of a hypocrite there on that point. But overall, you can't give these people attention. I hate being the voice of reason. I'm supposed to be the funny guy. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's it for No Things Considered tonight. We're here every night of the week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to see breaking news and stories, scroll down on this Facebook page. Go to dailycaller.com, dailycallernewsfoundation.org. Click the like button, click that heart button, click the smiley face button. I'm sure you clicked that nasty face on me a bunch today because I said some stuff you're probably not going to agree with. But hey, that's life. We can't all get along all the time, but we can say what we want under the First Amendment and free speech. That's how it works. Hopefully without getting our asses kicked when we go out in public. How about those apples? Anyway, if you like the video, share it, and I will be here tomorrow and all the rest of this week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.